Hi. Today I wanted to share with you guys some stories about my Seeley grandparents. There they are. These are my dad's parents, Russell and Hazel Seeley. I call them Grandpa Russ and Grandma Hazel. They traveled a lot, and I mean a lot. So although they lived in Hilliard, Ohio, way on the other side of town, which was about 5 minutes away, we didn't see them very much when I was growing up. I do have several memories of them and of their house, even though they died when I was young. But this is how I remember them. This is a picture they had taken on their last trip while in New Zealand, which is near Australia. After my grandma died, Grandpa had a painter friend of his paint the photograph, and he had it hung in their home. I must have stared at this picture for hours on end. I have every detail of it memorized. Like the string tie that Grandpa's wearing, he always wore ties like that. Their matching sweaters, which were probably some kind of New Zealand wool. His glasses, his skinny little mustache that he'd had at least since his motorcycle days. His hat, Grandma's bright red hat, her diamond earrings, which later caused so much controversy in our family because my mom would not get her ears pierced just to wear them after Grandpa Russ tried to give them to her after Grandma's death. Her purse, it's a really soft leather. I remember touching it and opening and closing the cinch sack closure. Both of their saggy chins and their smiles. I remember this driveway really well. There were lilac bushes that bloomed. It must have been, I guess, every spring. To this day, whenever I smell lilacs, this is exactly what I picture. Now you know. See the Airstream there in the background? That's the Airstream my parents have now. Good old 16368. Lots and lots of memories in that thing. But that's for another time. There's the Buick that they used to haul it. I have a memory of riding on my mom's lap in the front seat when Grandma and Grandpa had just purchased a Buick similar to this one, and my grandpa started rolling up the automatic window to show this newfangled thing that you didn't have to crank the window, you just rolled the window right down by pushing a button. Well, I'd never seen such a thing before, and I didn't know what to expect, and I didn't move my arm when the window started going up, and my arm almost got stuck. See that Mustang there in the background? Man, I loved that car. It was a 1966 Fastback, candy apple red. I remember once getting to ride to church with them in this car with Ann, my big sister. Here's their house on Smiley Road in Hilliard. This was about 3 miles from my other grandparents, the Schofields' house. I remember in this house the smell of mothballs, the smell of Irish Spring soap. I remember doorknobs that locked when you pushed the whole knob in and to the right. I remember little glasses for kids that had the characters from the Dagwood comic strip etched on them. Here are Grandma and Grandpa in their motorcycle days. There is story after story about their motorcycle days that Grandpa Don has shared and I'm sure probably will share with us in the future. So I won't go into that now. I'm just telling you things from my perspective, and by the time I had come along, their motorcycle days were long gone. But I thought you'd like to see a picture of them in their motorcycle gear. Grandma would ride in that sidecar there, and they'd go on races together. You can see they just won a trophy. Here's a picture of my dad with his dad. This is in 1966, the year my parents got married. You can see from the ring on my dad's hand that the event had already taken place, so this must have been sometime after March 19th of that year. I had to put this picture in here because those two cats sat one on either side of my grandparents' fireplace and used to freak me out. Creeped me out. I hope I didn't just creep you out showing this to you. Well, Grandma Hazel died in 1980 of an aneurysm of the aorta, which is in your heart. She died when they were in Australia on one of their trips. I was 7 years old. My grandpa Russ died 3 years later in 1983 of a stroke. I was 10 years old. It's sad to me that they chose to spend so many of their older and wiser years living the retired life, the dream of traveling away from their family. It's also sad to me that they died when I was so young. I've often wondered how different my life would be if they would have been alive in my older years and I could have had a more grown-up relationship with them. So whenever I think about Grandma and Grandpa Seeley, it's with a little bit of sadness. But it's also with a lot of love.